Hello, dear friends. Economy is the clearest reflection of global transformation. Opinion piece. Last one is a rotten egg. Bank runs, harming small banks, benefits larger banks, deposit withdrawals, financial instability, every man for himself, massive cash withdrawals, not a comfortable period. IMF notes the debacle. We are at a crossroads. Disastrous economic week. New energy at the end of March. Chaotic and contradictory energy. Congressman talks about alien spacecraft. Circus politics is meant to distract us. Let's start. Last one to the house is a rotten egg. Is a colloquial children's expression used in racing games and is now applied to bank runs. A bank run occurs when a large group of depositors withdraw their money from banks at the same time. Bank runs are a possibility in times of economic crisis or lack of confidence in the financial system. Customers in bank runs often withdraw their money for fear that the institution will become insolvent. With more people withdrawing money, banks would deplete their cash reserves and could end up defaulting, which is referred to as systemic risk. Bank runs have occurred throughout history, including during the Great Depression and the 2008 crisis. Bank deposit withdrawals in a week. Small banks have been hit by massive cash withdrawals. Americans have withdrawn nearly $120 billion in deposits from small banks in the week marked by the collapse of Silicon Valley Bank on 10th March that created chaos in the banking industry. The big winners, Goldman Sachs, JP Morgan Chase, and Fidelity, are benefiting from big inflows amid the turmoil in the financial sector. They are the biggest winners for investors who put money into money market funds in the past 2 weeks, as the collapse of two regional banks and the Credit Suisse bailout deal raised concerns about the safety of bank deposits. The biggest banks could be natural beneficiaries of the current crisis. JP Morgan, Wells Fargo, and Citigroup are among the big banking names recording above normal deposits. The crisis that hit regional banks has left Wall Street's most powerful institutions largely unscathed, and the fallout could ultimately benefit the biggest players. Officials continue to claim that the banking system is sound and resilient, in quotes, despite the reduction in bank deposits, the failure of Silicon Valley Bank, and the closure of Signature Bank. The largest withdrawals were at the small banks, while deposits at large banks increased by $67 billion. Risks. IMF sees debacle. The IMF expects economic growth in the West to plummet, and IMF report admits that the US will slow from 2% in 2022 to 1.4% in 2023 and 1% in 2024, while the European Union will contract to 0.7%. IMF chief Kristalina Georgieva warns of increased risk to financial stability and the need for vigilance after the recent turmoil in the banking sector. Global financial stability is exposed to greater risk as rising interest rates put pressure on the economic system, said Mrs. Georgieva. Uncertainty in the economic sector is high due to the risk of fragmentation that could lead to a world divided into rival economic blocs. USA. The Fed keeps investors nervous in the volatile stock market. Welcome to the subprime banking crisis. Rising rates have exposed the problem of creating a strategy to serve wealthy customers. Wall Street's push for bank bailouts clashes with Washington's reality. Bankers want faster and more aggressive action to shore up the industry, while the government and regulators argue they have done what they can within the law. The median sales price for resale homes fell year over year in February, for the first time in more than a decade. Mississippi declared a disaster area due to tornadoes. Europe. Deutsche Bank talks of 25% falls in housing in Europe. Credit Suisse could face disciplinary action. Swiss regulator says. Credit Suisse takeover is a headache for Swiss firms. 17 investigations opened into the actions of French police in recent protests. Ramon Tamames puts his censure motion speech on sale on Amazon for €5. Gabriel García Márquez, Isabel Allende, and Jorge Luis Borges, the most translated authors. Nigeria dispenses banknotes to end 3-month cash shortage. China's property crisis. Evergrande, Shimao, and other fallen tycoons rush to find lifelines to solve debt headache. BlackRock and Vanguard are among Evergrande's biggest shareholders. Energy shift. There is a new energy at the end of March by Celia Fenn. There are 4 huge energies in plural, moving together at this time, creating a chaotic and sometimes contradictory force. This has produced one of the most difficult weeks. It was a week of shocks and disasters on a personal level. This is the energy of Uranus in Taurus, which affects the home and finances. Then we have Jupiter in Aries, asking us to expand ourselves and our vision of the future. This means that at times we may feel that we are being stretched to the point of exhaustion as we deal with chaos. But there is also the third energy of Pluto in Aquarius that tears down social structures and replaces them with something more appropriate for the new Earth. So it is chaos, as the structure designed to enrich the few at the expense of the many beings to crumble, and new structures emerge. This is not a comfortable period. The fourth energy is Saturn just moved into Pisces. It will help us to create new and more appropriate spiritual structures. But neither is the combination of deep, watery Pisces with Saturn's need to dominance and create structures a comfortable union. Opinions. The stock market is raised according to Judy Bington. Inflation is a way to get rid of the corrupt system. The QFS has operated in parallel with the central banking system for some time. Only coins with a digital gold certificate can be transferred to the QFS. With the QFS, the world may be flooded with gold-backed currencies. The price of gold will become irrelevant once it is established through the restart or the reset. A country that doesn't comply with GISRA would be out of the QFS and out of international trade. The financial crisis is causing a political crisis in many countries, led by the French and followed by the Dutch and Israelis. Legendary investor Carl Icahn said, in quotes, "Our system is falling apart. The whole economy is falling apart. The net worth of the average household is basically nothing." Close quotes. The situation is such that the highly respected Colonel McGregor says he would be surprised if Biden is still in power in 90 days. Circus politics is bound to distract us, according to John and Nisha Whitehead. It's easy to be distracted by the bread and circus politics that dominates the news headlines. But don't be distracted. Don't be fooled, not even a little. Reflections. Jean Decode said that one of the few weapons the dark side has left is meteorological weapons. An economist who predicted the great financial crisis says the world's central banks have chosen, in quotes, class warfare over financial stability. Juan Osabin believes that currency revaluation, financial restarts, and the user program will happen, but that it is not what people are imagining. This plan was meant to happen during 2018, but was systematically attacked. Juan Osabin says the people they are fighting are occultists. They have little secret clubs, societies, secret handshakes, and are very concerned about doing things in numbers with certain celestial alignments. The reality is that all their wisdom is nonsense before God and is about to be tested epically. Juan Osabin reveals that the round letter teams place this on supercomputers 20 hours a day, 7 days a week, and have been working for 60 years on the plan to save the world. They know better than we do that telling the truth doesn't necessarily mean they're accepting the truth, and that is why it is taking so long. Insolitas. A bill in the Israeli parliament would make it a crime to talk about Jesus in Israel. Beethoven didn't die of lead poisoning in 1827 at the age of 56, as previously believed. Scientists believe a lethal combination of liver cirrhosis, hepatitis B, and alcohol consumption condemned him to death according to the first test of his DNA. A stunning alignment of 5 planets will be visible on Tuesday. The best time to see the phenomenon of Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, and Uranus will be on Tuesday night, just after sunset, and will be visible for the next 2 weeks. Scientists baffled by discovery of circular dunes on Mars. 2 spacecraft would be needed to fly to Mars. A named flight to Mars could be so risky that, along with the main spacecraft, a backup spacecraft should be flown in which the crew could return in case of problems, cosmonaut Alexandrov said. Tennessee Congressman Tim Burchett says the Pentagon has other deadly spacecraft and is hiding it because whoever owns the technology is in control. Burchett says they are reverse engineering recovered UFOs. Film director James Cameron says artificial intelligence has taken over the world and could be manipulating us without us realizing it, according to the Daily Star. Computer scientist and futurist Ray Kurzweil predicts immortality by 2030. Investigation into the appearance of an Nessie-like monster in a Mexican dam. Russian scientists discover extraterrestrial messages hidden in an anomalous zone in western Siberia. They claim to have deciphered a message from the constellation Canis Major. Free energy. The ancients possessed powerful technologies that were used to create free etheric energy. Ether was accepted by science until about 100 years ago, and then atomism took over. Now you can't even mention ether and free energy in science, because you would be ridiculed and lose your job and career. And that's all for today. Thanks a lot, dear friends.